Maomao.
We meet Maomao, a sharp-witted apothecary's daughter, who is kidnapped and sold to the imperial palace to work as a lowly laundry maid. When she hears rumours of a curse killing the infants of high-ranking consorts Li Hua and Gyokuyo, she knows the real cause. Using her knowledge, she deduces the illness comes from their toxic, lead-based face powder and leaves anonymous warnings. Consort Gyokuyo heeds the warning and her daughter survives, while Li Hua's son tragically dies. The powerful eunuch, Jinshi, investigates and identifies Maomao as the saviour, as she is one of the few servants who can read. He brings her before Gyokuyo, who, as a reward for saving her child, promotes Maomao to be her personal lady-in-waiting and poison taster, changing her fate forever. Maomao begins her new job as Consort Gyokuyo's poison taster. While she enjoys the work, the other ladies pity her for the dangerous role and do her chores, leaving her bored until Jinshi presents a real puzzle. Soldiers in a village have been poisoned, and their leader is blamed. Maomao swiftly deduces it wasn't the food, but poisonous fumes from the wood they used for cooking, saving an innocent man. Later, Jinshi tasks her with creating a potent aphrodisiac. She makes powerful chocolates, but 3 of Gyokuyo's ladies-in-waiting eat them while she's distracted gathering herbs. Maomao then reveals her creation is 3 times stronger than the usual tonic, leaving Gyokuyo horrified. Rumours of a ghost dancing on the palace walls lead Maomao to Consort Fuyu, who is supposedly mad after losing the emperor's favour. Maomao quickly realises this is all an act. Through a clever analogy, she reveals Fuyu's plan. The general she was pledged to is secretly the man she loves from her hometown. Her madness wasn't insanity. It was a brilliant ploy to fall out of favour with the emperor and be given as a reward to the very man she was destined for. At the emperor's request, Maomao is tasked with curing the dying consort Li Hua. After Jinshi deals with the hostile ladies-in-waiting, Maomao confronts the one responsible for the continued lead poisoning. Through a detoxifying diet and steam baths, she nurses Li Hua back to health. As a parting gift, Maomao gives her a practical tip from the brothel on how to regain the emperor's favour. After an eunuch develops a rash and sees a fire change colour from burning a discarded cloth with scorched sleeves and some wood tablets, he fears a curse. But Maomao explains that a single chemical on the items likely caused both the unique flame and his skin irritation, a root cause that the intrigued Jinshi becomes determined to investigate. As a grand garden party approaches, Maomao must attend with consort Gyokuyo. While reluctantly applying makeup, her long-held secret is revealed to Jinshi. Her signature freckles are fake, a camouflage she created to deter men while living in the dangerous brothel district. Learning more about her difficult past, a sympathetic Jinshi gives her one of his own ornate hairpins, a significant gesture that makes Gyokuyo slightly jealous. The episode ends as the party begins, with a sinister plot lurking unseen. At the garden party, disaster strikes when Maomao discovers Consort Gyokuyo's soup has been poisoned. After confirming it herself, a concerned Jinshi takes her to the infirmary. From there, Maomao directs the investigation, quickly learning that the young consort Lishu is severely allergic to mackerel. She deduces that the bowls were swapped. The poison was meant for Lishu, not Gyokuyo. Maomao subtly handles the situation by giving Lishu's food taster a list of her allergies instead of making a direct accusation. However, Jinshi observes her careful manoeuvring and realises the truth. Lishu was the real target. While recovering, Maomao gets to work. At her request, Jinshi has the poisoned soup bowl brought to her. Using powder from her makeup kit, she dusts it for fingerprints, finding evidence of an outside poisoner. This confirms her full theory. The poison was meant for consort Lishu, but her own bullying food taster swapped the bowls to torment her with a mackerel allergy, unknowingly saving her life. Later, Maomao learns the hairpins she received can be used as tickets to leave the palace. She cleverly bargains with the officer Leihaku, offering an introduction to a top courtesan in exchange for an escort out of the palace, allowing her to finally visit her father. While home on leave, Maomao is rushed to a brothel to handle a double poisoning involving a courtesan and a wealthy customer. She quickly deduces it's not a double suicide, but an attempted murder. The courtesan tricked the man, who had abandoned her sister, by using a straw to safely drink from a layered beverage herself, thus luring him into consuming the poisoned part of the drink directly from the glass. Maomao saves the man's life, preventing a scandal for the brothel. After visiting a mysterious sick woman in the brothel's annex, she returns to the palace after 3 days. Her homecoming is met by a very agitated Jinshi, whom she mercilessly teases about her time away, much to the amusement of Consort Gyukuyo. Jinshi is still sulking when a new case arrives. A high-ranking official named Conan is dead after a drinking party. Maomao deduces he was murdered with an excessive amount of salt in his drink, but refuses to name the killer. Later, she is asked to examine the body of a servant woman found drowned in the moat. Though she refuses to perform an autopsy, she suspects it was murder, despite it being officially ruled a suicide. The episode ends with a new lead in an old case. A report reveals that Consort Aduo's head lady-in-waiting, Fengming, also suffered from burns, linking her to the curse incident 2 months ago. Maomao observes that the young consort Lishu is being bullied by her own staff, and has a strange, intense fear of honey. Jinshi then assigns her to Consort Aduo's palace to investigate, where her suspicion quickly falls on the seemingly perfect head lady-in-waiting, Fengming. The real breakthrough comes when Jinshi playfully pranks Maomao with honey, triggering a massive realization that connects Lishu's fear directly to Fengming, and a series of other recent incidents. Armed with this new theory, Maomao confirms Lishu is terrified of the supposedly kind woman. Her investigation culminates in a shocking discovery from old palace records. The doctor, who was expelled years ago after the death of Aduo's infant son, was Maomao's own father. This episode brings the first major arc to its tragic conclusion. Maomao lays her entire theory before Fengming. The truth that unravels is a tragedy wrapped in another tragedy. We learn that years ago, Consort Aduo became infertile after a difficult childbirth because her doctor, Maomao's father, was pulled away. Then, Fengming, in a devastating mistake, unknowingly killed Aduo's infant son by feeding him honey. Fengming only realized her fatal error years later, when Lishu, who also nearly died from honey as a baby, revealed the danger to her. Fengming's attempt to poison Lishu wasn't about palace politics. It was a desperate, twisted act to silence the only person who could accidentally shatter Aduo's world by revealing that her most trusted servant had killed her son. Maomao gives Fengming one final piece of advice: confess only to a crime of misguided loyalty. By admitting she tried to poison Lishu simply to protect Aduo's status, she can ensure the devastating secret about the honey, and Aduo's son remains buried forever. The night after Fengming's execution, a restless Maomao is drawn to the palace wall. She finds Consort Aduo, who gives a cryptic hint about her son's identity before departing. Maomao then discovers a drunken and crying Jinshi in the shadows below. Caught in his private moment of grief, her silent presence inadvertently becomes a comfort to the vulnerable man. The next day, as Aduo officially departs, Maomao looks at her and then at Jinshi, and it clicks. A shocking possibility flashes in her mind. What if the babies were swapped at birth? And what if her father was expelled for not noticing? In the aftermath of Fengming's execution, Maomao is unexpectedly laid off. It's revealed she was brought to the palace as a victim of Fengming's family's human trafficking ring. A conflicted Jinshi lets her go, fearing she hates palace life, but he almost immediately regrets it. Now, back at the Verdigris house, Maomao is working as an attendant when she's brought to a lavish party. There, she's shocked to meet Jinshi again. Their reunion is no coincidence. The entire expensive event was a secret plot by Gaoshan to bring them together. Seeing her again, Jinshi makes a new resolution: to buy her out of the brothel himself. Jinshi buys out Maomao's contract and brings her back to the palace, not to the rear palace, but to a new position in the outer court. His plan is for her to pass an exam to become an official court lady, but in a hilarious turn, she completely fails it. With that option gone, she becomes Jinshi's personal assistant by default. The episode ends as she settles into her new role, wandering into the military wing for herbs, where she gets scolded by a court lady, all while unknowingly being watched by the mysterious strategist, Lakan. Maomao is given a strange new task, giving an education to the new aloof Consort Lolan. Her lessons, using practical materials from the verdigris house, prove awkward for most of the consorts in attendance. This instruction is soon overshadowed when an explosion rips through a palace food warehouse. While officials begin their formal investigation, Maomao conducts her own impromptu inquiry. She quickly deduces it wasn't a bomb, but a dust explosion, ignited by a smouldering ember from a discarded ivory pipe that lit up the airborne wheat dust. The immediate danger is over, but the discovery of the expensive pipe leaves a troubling question. The perpetrator must be someone of high status. Gaoshan brings a strange case to Maomao. A bureaucrat is in a coma after eating seasoned fugu, mirroring an incident from years ago. Maomao investigates and quickly realizes it wasn't the fugu at all. The real culprit was an improperly prepared, poisonous seaweed imported from the south. She identifies the victim's younger brother as the perpetrator, who sought revenge for his mistreatment. Later, Jinshi reveals that Lakan paid him a visit. The strategist complained about Maomao's appointment, but also wistfully described a verdigris courtesan who sold her skills but never herself. A woman, he noted, with an attitude just like Maomao's. After this strange conversation, Lakan then made a formal request to enlist her unique problem-solving skills for a different case in the future. Fulfilling Lakan's request, Jinshi tasks Maomao with solving a strange inheritance puzzle from a metalworker who left his 3 sons a shack, a locked chest, and a fishbowl. Maomao discovers the chest is sealed with solder and ingeniously uses the fishbowl as a lens to melt it open with sunlight, revealing the father's true wish was for his sons to work together. Jinshi asks Maomao for a strange disguise, to make him look like a commoner for a walk through town. Their conversation quickly turns serious. Maomao reveals 2 harsh truths. Her adoptive father, Lomen, was made a eunuch by the old Empress Dowager, and a courtesan's value is halved by losing her purity and erased entirely by pregnancy. The grim realities of her world leave the sheltered Jinshi completely stunned. After refusing to accompany a disguised Jinshi further and risk blowing his cover, Maomao takes a few days off and heads home. There, her rest is disturbed by a haunting nightmare, a terrifying flash of memory from her earliest infancy that she can't quite place. Her adoptive father, Luomen, then sends her on an errand to the verdigris brothel. But her real destination is a hidden annex. There, she tends to a sick woman who is revealed to be her biological mother, Fengxian, ravaged by late-stage syphilis. Lakan, identified as a long-time customer, arrives at the brothel for a visit. Maomao is hidden away in her mother's room while Maymay is sent to run a distraction, keeping father and daughter from an unwanted encounter. Back at the palace, Maomao's suspicion about Jinshi grows when she learns he is performing purification rituals, something a true eunuch would have no need for. The tension then escalates as Lakan makes a veiled threat to Jinshi over his possessive interest in Maomao. When Jinshi tries to warn her, her furious glare stops him cold. The episode ends with the mysterious court lady Suire catches Maomao again. This time she claims the rare plant she cultivates are for a resurrection medicine, an impossible cure that Maomao desperately desires. The officer Lihaku comes to Maomao with 2 new crucial pieces of information. Ceremonial tools were stolen during the warehouse fire, and a woman matching Suire's description was the one who gave the guard the ivory pipe that started it. She immediately connects it to what she already knows, that the former warehouse manager, Master Kunen, died from salt poisoning, and the current manager was also recently taken out by poisoned seaweed. Then comes the final, critical breakthrough. She learns the current warehouse manager is from the Board of Rites, the department in charge of all palace ceremonies. Suddenly, it all clicks. She assumes the conspirators could have hired the 3 metalworking brothers to remake the stolen tools, but with a fatal flaw. She realizes with chilling certainty that it's all one coordinated conspiracy aimed at the most important upcoming ritual, Jinshi's purification ceremony at the altar of the sapphire sky. She races to the altar but is blocked by guards. Her desperate attempt to create a commotion only gets her struck on the head. To everyone's shock, Lakan appears and vouches for her, allowing her inside. She bursts in and shoves a figure out of the way of a heavy falling ornament just in time. As she loses consciousness, she realizes the person she saved was Jinshi, collapsing into his arms. Maomao wakes up in Jinshi's room. Once recovered, she explains the full conspiracy to him, Gaoshun, and Balsam. She lays out how the warehouse fire was a distraction to steal the real ceremonial tools and replace them with another one made from a low melting point lead alloy designed to fool and kill Jinshi during the ritual. Just as that mystery is solved, another deepens. Maomao learns the court lady Suire has supposedly died from poison, but she instantly suspects it was faked using a complex mix of thornapple and pufferfish toxin. Her hunch is proven right when another body is found in Suire's coffin. Meanwhile, a burdened Jinshi reflects on politics and his feelings for Maomao. Maomao helps Consort Gyokuyo with what appears to be a new pregnancy. Maomao takes it upon herself to clean the mismanaged palace pharmacy together with the resident doctor. He reveals his family, the palace's official paper purveyors, are struggling after a ban on cutting trees forced them to use a new, poor-quality formula that threatens their status. Maomao investigates their process and finds the surprising culprit in the oxen's water trough, helping them finally restore their paper's quality. The officer, Li Haku, seeks Maomao's advice on buying out the courtesan Pairin, leading to a comedic misunderstanding when a jealous Jinshi interrupts her evaluation of him. But the mood shifts when Maomao receives a letter from Pairin. She clarifies that the rumours about a top courtesan being bought out started because the strategist Lakan has been making inquiries. Lakan issues an impossible challenge to Jinshi: produce blue roses for the spring garden party. Jinshi gives the task to Maomao, who accepts with the specific goal of spiting Lakan. Working tirelessly, she succeeds. She later reveals her secret to Jinshi. She didn't magically grow blue roses. She had white roses absorb dyed water, a trick she wisely explained to the emperor beforehand to avoid political trouble. The episode also shows Lakan's perspective, viewing people as game pieces. As he ponders his failed rose gambit, he's stunned when Maomao herself appears before him, her fingernails painted red like the courtesan from his memories, ready for a new game. Maomao challenges Lakan to a high-stakes game of Chinese chess, her freedom versus him buying out an aging courtesan. After a tense match, Lakan collapses after drinking from a cup, but it's not poison. Maomao cleverly exploited his teetotalism, getting him blackout drunk so he could be taken to the verdigris brothel. There, the heartbreaking tragedy of his past is finally revealed. Lakan, who has face blindness and sees people as game pieces, fell in love with the courtesan Fengxian because she was the only person whose face he could recognize. But he was sent away for years. When he finally returned, he found her unanswered letters and a horrifying curse, her severed finger and that of their baby. He realized too late that she had been pregnant, and thinking he'd abandoned her, she had vanished. The finale sees Lakan fulfill his promise at the verdigris house. While there, he overhears a familiar lullaby. This, combined with the withered blue rose, a clue from Maomao, makes him finally understand. He rushes to the annex to find the ailing Fengxian and chooses to buy her out. This act serves as a wedding, giving her a respected name at the end of her life and bringing their tragic story to a close. Maomao later explains to Jinshi she acted not out of affection, but out of gratitude that her mother gave her life. To honour her mother's marriage, Maomao upholds a tradition from her home. The women of the pleasure district dance to celebrate when one of their own is bought out. She performs her own solitary, beautiful version of this send-off dance on a palace wall. Just as she concludes the dance, she is startled to find Jinshi. The surprise causes her to lose her balance, but Jinshi reacts instantly, catching her and pulling her back from the edge into his arms. They share a rare, intimate moment, which Maomao breaks by bluntly asking for the ox bezel he owes her. The season closes with Jinshi approaching her the next day, a new case in hand, their unique partnership set to continue. And that was the Apothecary Diaries Season 1. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more anime recaps from Yoru Story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.